Welcome back.
I went on a cruise. I was on a big boat, and it went to the Bahamas, and it was so warm, and I had a lot of fun, and I'm still recovering, but it felt like I was gone forever.
Nicole and Briana are lined up on the grid. It's lights out, and away we go on this week's grid walk.
Yeah, it felt like you were gone for a week. I wasn't able to figure out how to remove watermarks from TikTok videos. I'm very glad you're back.
Yes, I am back. It felt weird to be like so removed from the world, let alone F1. Except I spotted some F1 merch on the boat. It was all Mercedes merch in the casino. So saw one person in a white George Russell hat and another person in the black team kits, and both made sure to be like, I like your shirt, I like your hat. So it felt like I was with good people.
I love being an American F1 fan because seeing another F1 piece of merchandise in the wild is like an event.
Mm-hmm.
Like if anyone from Europe hears that, they would probably be like, "You're celebrating seeing two pieces of Mercedes merch?"
No, it was out of the corner of my eye. I saw the black with the red lines, and then I just saw Patronus, and I was like, "Oh gosh, it's still real, even though I'm on a boat. This is still a real thing."
I am separated from reality, but not that separated.
Exactly. It's not a race weekend, but F1 is still real, and people are wearing merch on a cruise ship.
Well, happy race week.
Happy race week.
So it's the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix this week. So we would be really remiss to not talk about, I think, the collective issue we personally have with racing in Saudi Arabia in this particular GP. I want to define what sports washing is, because it's a term that hopefully you'll hear thrown around a lot this week. And it is the practice of an organization, a government, a country, etc., supporting sports or organizing sports events as a way to improve its reputation. So that's the official Cambridge Dictionary definition to sports washing. But at its core, it's when a government or a political entity is trying to use sports to distract us all from generally egregious human rights issues. And Saudi Arabia is pretty notorious for this. We have this race, and they spend all this money in sports, primarily so we go there and we, meaning the Western world primarily, goes to Saudi Arabia, we put on our big flashy sporting events, we talk about how well the sporting event went, and we don't pay attention to the awful, awful, awful things that are going on in that country as it pertains primarily to human rights. I think it's important to define first what sports washing was, what F1 has said about this race, and what they claim about it, what's actually going on in Saudi Arabia in broad strokes, and then why this matters and what we can do. So F1 took a giant check to do this race. Like, let's not beat around the bush. That is this race is happening because Saudi is paying basically a sports washing premium for this race. What they have publicly said is that they think it's important for them to race in places like Saudi Arabia to bring attention to the bad things that are happening there. So, in light of what F1 is asking for, since that is what they're saying the reason of them going there is, definitely look into the mass murders and crimes they are committing against their own people who want a democratic government. They are making special exceptions for F1 that men and women are allowed to sit together in the grandstands. Their human rights record, specifically against the LGBTQIA community, is absolutely awful. So, F1, we are bringing attention to all of those things. And personally, it is uncomfortable that we are racing there. And it's more uncomfortable for me that it's likely that the only display of recognition to everything I just mentioned, and that's just the surface. I was like, what can I talk about in 60 seconds that's going on there? The only thing we're probably going to see is Lewis's Pride helmet.
Yeah, I struggle a lot with really but agreeing with all of the statements that F1 comes out and says as to why they're racing in Saudi Arabia. This is the third Saudi Arabian GP that, like, from this deal. I believe it's like a 10-year deal. It's at least till 2030, and it's like at least $65 million a year. Now, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of profit for F1. And we know money talks. And F1 is not a cheap sport. Now, they can continue to say, we are racing here to spotlight these issues, to spotlight the good changes, spotlight the bad. They are doing nothing. And it's not like this is the first time they're racing in Saudi Arabia. Repeatedly, there have been issues. There have been safety issues where drivers felt like they should not be racing there. And it's all just kind of been like, no, everything's fine. It all just points to they're here for the money, and it's not to bring attention to the human rights violations. So it just gives me a huge ick to have Formula One be saying, oh, but we're bringing attention to XYZ thing when they're literally not.
Right.
At all. And as your
except for
point,
the existence.
right. Yeah. Except for the fact that they're like, we want to bring attention to the good things and just the issues that are going on. But then don't explicitly say what maybe some of the good things are. And, when the list of bad things involves mass executions, like limiting human rights, kind of need to see more than just like, we're going to spotlight the good things. They're not doing enough. And everything points to this is for millions and millions of dollars. Like you said, it's an ethics tax.
Right. And we are not here right now to sit here and make you feel bad about being an F1 fan. Being a sports fan is always unethical, and we're always faced with these kinds of decisions. We're NFL fans. I feel like I'm faced with this decision in our own country 9 million times a year. Like, this is what happens. But I think it is crucial to, one, talk about it, and to have discussions with the people in your life. So if you have a collection of people you watch the race with, make sure you talk about this week and go to reputable sources and read up about what's going on in Saudi Arabia and make sure you're at least informed about the choice that you are making. Inform the people around you and accept globally that this sucks. It sucks that we have to always be making these decisions. And a sport like F1, particularly, that is a global sport, will always be political, which is always so funny when they're like, gotta keep the politics out of F1. I'm like, you're going to Saudi Arabia, and we'll get into the news of Haas this morning. But, like, no, the issue is, like, Lewis Hamilton standing up for human rights. Like, got it. I really understand. So, sports are always going to be political. Just make sure you are an informed watcher while you're watching the Grand Prix this weekend. But enjoy it still, because that's the reality. Like, life is complicated. Everything's gray. Be an informed viewer, but also just, still enjoy the race this weekend. Like, none of this conversation should make you feel guilty about being excited for this race or wanting to watch this race. It's just to encourage more conversation on this topic, and maybe one day we'll get to a point where F1 isn't taking the morality tax in all of this.
Watch the race, enjoy the race, but be aware. Be aware of what everything else that's happening behind the scenes. Just be a good person.
All right. Well, transitioning away from the more serious stuff, we are going to talk about the race this weekend. And so every race week, this is a good time to say that if you don't watch us on YouTube, I would highly recommend going over to YouTube. I will explain the visual gag in a moment, but if you want to see it immediately as it happens, YouTube, good place to be. So every race week, we do a set of predictions for the week, all for various amounts of points. We're going to predict P1, just missed the podium, P4, theoretically the best of the rest at P7, the last in the points at P10, and then the team from the back half of the standings that scores the most points this week. Last race week for the Bahrain GP, I'm up 7-4. Hence, Nicole is wearing a funny meme on her face this week because she lost last week. the head-to-head loser every week, the next time we record the predictions, will have to wear something similarly funny on their head for said segment. Our first season of predictions, the person who is behind on total points, come the summer break, will have to do the following segment from a Peloton, which neither of us are excited about. Stinks. Yes. So to recap quickly how we did at the Bahrain GP, we do put out on our social channels post-race the results of our predictions as well, so if you're interested in holding us accountable through the weekend and then seeing how we do. We both were correct that Max got P1, and we were also both correct that Aston Martin would score the most points from the bottom 5 of the 2022 standings. Neither of us got P4 or P7 correct. We both thought Alonso was going to be P7. Really undersold that one. But the difference, the reason I'm up 7-4, is that I got 3 points for picking Alex Albon for P10. So while everyone else was just like, Alonso, podium, and they didn't go back and clarify that Yuki did not pass Alex for P10, I was freaking out because I wanted those 3 points. So before we get to our predictions this week, Nicole, what parts, we know that Saudi's a completely different track than Bahrain. What has informed your predictions for this week?
So, everyone again, I have a great meme on my forehead. If you are not watching us, you should, and you're missing out. But I'm really in my element right here. And yeah, while everyone was freaking out about Alonso, I felt so bad to be rooting against Alex getting points. Because I love the boy. But, I'm competitive. Okay, so completely different circuit than Bahrain. I'm hyped about that. Intense street circuit. So things I was considering. Longest circuit on the grid besides Spa. It's going to be hella fast. Lots of quote unquote turns. Technically, they say there's 27, but it's a lot of squiggles. A lot of wiggles. Wiggle. But another big thing that I was really paying attention to this year is the changes they've made on the track. We have wider turns, so we got to be paying attention to that. Obviously, for safety reasons, that's very, very incredible, and I'm really just kind of hoping we don't have anything like Mick had to go through last year. So, particularly things that I'm paying attention to is just that it's a street circuit, and then just the differences between Bahrain and Saudi is what I was looking at. Now, what were the things that you considered when making your picks?
I was mostly looking at the fact that this is our second fastest track on the calendar. I think Monza is the only faster track. I believe it's 78%, but I know over 70% of the Jeddah circuit is full throttle, which is insane for the fact that, to your point, it's a street circuit. So, to the surprise of no one, I was really just looking at the top speeds of all the cars, and the cars actually that are struggling the most with downforce are probably going to overall do better. So we've written our predictions down already, so this isn't going to inform anything. But we know that both the Haas and the Williams struggle with downforce, but have great top speed. So theoretically, they should perform better overall, and that's saying something considering Williams did pretty well in Bahrain. I also think that the track surface in Bahrain is incredibly abrasive, and Jeddah is super smooth in comparison. So what we saw in Bahrain with Ferrari's extreme tire wear, I think it's going to be less extreme. So I think we're going to have a more competitive race day Ferrari than we at least did last race week. So those are my overall, my competitive edge here, by the way, is that theoretically, I look at more of the tech stuff, and I can hold some back, and I cannot share things with Nicole leading into the week, which admittedly I don't do, because I like talking about it.
I'm sure a little bit. She's like, oh, I know. Last night in conversation, she said, wait, I can't be telling this. We haven't done our picks yet. And I said, don't worry. I feel like I'm just kind of leaning some of those places anyway. And I'm also acknowledging that there is maybe one or two. I'll say one of my picks is I'm just hoping and manifesting for some kind of crazy to happen. But so anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's super interesting that we have Red Bull, but then we have 3 competitive teams in the front. So it used to be top 5, top 6, pretty settled. We have a top 8 that could be shuffled around pretty significantly. So
Gonna be...
there's more variety in pick options this week.
Okay, except I think we start where it's the most boring.
Yes, got it.
Who did you pick as your winner of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix?
Shocker, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, cool, great.
Lame. Not lame.
You know what?
Lame.
Look, this is why we pick, P4, P7, P10, and the team the way we pick. Because if we had to do podiums, I think our podiums would be dramatically similar. And it would just be boring. So we gotta... But, I can't not pick who we think is going to win. One of these weeks, Nicole, we're going to come here and both not say Max.
Okay.
But, so who do you have just missing the podium at P4?
I have the smooth operator, Carlos Sainz, just missing podium.
Me too.
Oh, no. This is going to come down to pick. This is going to be who's P10 again. This is all just going to... Oh, boy. Okay. And then our best of the rest, our P7. Who do you have for P7?
Lance Stroll.
Stop it! I also have Lance. Oh no! But here's the thing. This is bad for me of all of this because then it just means I can't get ahead, and I'm gonna still get this. Well,
I think the meme or funny visual gag needs to be like race week head to head. So even if one of us pulls ahead dramatically, it's just how we did in that race week.
Right, yeah. Still.
Okay.
Dang.
I really hope we have different.
No, I think we will
P10.
have different. I think we'll have different ones for P10.
Okay. Who's in your P10? Who's your last in the points?
I have SD Bestie in P10.
Okay. I have Pierre Gasly.
Oh, huh? Interesting. Okay.
So we both think that the Alpine will be in 10, but we just pick different.
Will the Alpine do something?
Okay, and then hopefully this next one will be different.
I don't think it is.
Yeah. We had a shake-up. So we do this based on the current constructors' standings. So the teams we have to pick from this week for best of the bottom constructors are different.
Yes. So I picked Williams.
Oh, wait, before you.
Oh.
So we can pick between Alpine, Williams, Haas, AlphaTauri, and McLaren. They're currently the bottom 5 in the constructors. So, sorry, who'd you pick?
I picked Williams.
I also
Who did you pick, Briana?
I also picked Williams.
This is great. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the Saudi Arabian GP picks, where it basically is Battle of the French Peens. We made picks that made sense. Like, I think I feel really good about my logic.
I just think of I was sitting there like, okay, well, one of the Ferraris is going to be P4, but the fact that we both picked Carlos, and then I was like, was your thought process that I thought Stroll was going to beat George Russell again, and that's why? Gosh, we spent too much time together.
Because I was like, George is I was like, nah. This is just with the way that this is going and this track. Yeah, okay. Well, but this was an incredibly funny set of picks, and it just becomes down to the battle of SD versus Pierre, and I can't believe you're the one that has Pierre, and I have SD Bestie. This is crazy.
Good luck. I guess that worked out well for me.
I guess so. Battle of the Alpines, we love it.
Yep. Follow us at Gridwalk Show, and we'll keep you up to date. We do live tweet quali and the race, and you will hear us complain and celebrate based on our picks.
So we want to give a big thank you, as always, to Voiceover Man. Shout out to Unlimited Drink Packages Royal Caribbean, you're the bomb, and our 4-legged executive producers. Make sure you turn on auto downloads wherever you are listening to the pod. Leave us a rating. Please leave us a review. It really, really helps us out. Shout out to all of our friends on Apple Podcasts where you're listening. Pretty please let us know what you think, what you like, what you'd like to see us try out. We really, really appreciate the feedback. Make sure you follow us on any of the social media platforms that you like to use. We are at Gridwalk Show, absolutely everywhere, and we are always giving you some daily grid walks. But we will be back every Thursday, and we seriously hope that you join us. Today felt like we just completely missed the grid walk because we were just too busy spilling